Welcome. We'll get started in a moment. I think this is our last session, so you don't have to put up with me anymore. Just gonna get this shared. I'm already in my horse stance. Actually, I was kind of finding it, so I'm gonna saddle in. Invite you to do the same. Good level structure, good supportive structure, good purchase on that structure. Hopefully warm enough as well. I don't think I'm quite warm enough myself today. I'm a little bit underdressed. Maybe a bit optimistic about the relative warmth today, I guess. But I'm updating the notes. I think I already pre-wrote some notes for the practice today. And then we'll get into sharing our practice with the appropriate people, I guess. I don't know who might want to join in. Be nice to thank Matt Stamp for the inspiration for this series as we come to the end of it. I see a bunch of people, but I've invited them and haven't seen them show up, so I'm not going to spam them. But yeah, I just remembered I wrote what I'm going to do, so I should follow it and I won't have to edit too much. Alright, good. So just in our horse stance. Relocating the principles, reacquainting myself with the principles, renewing my commitment to said principles, saving my beard from my zipper, all those basic principles. I think we have more snow coming. I'm not sure if it's an overnight thing or starting in the morning, but we're supposed to get 2/3 of a foot or something like that. We'll transition to single weighted horse stance in a minute here. I'm just saddled into this. What our sequence has been is do an introduction to a stance, often with variations, either in definition or name or both, often both. Do that 3 times, then do a review of those 3 as its own episode. Then do 3 individual episodes where we just practice those. We don't really teach them. But in the practices, we might learn particular stretches, different Dao Yin, different cool downs, some application perhaps. But really just spend some time in it. Generally as a static practice. It's not been a series about shifting or pivoting or stepping or application or indeed using the whole body for what it is we're doing. It's just being in that stance and being in that stance without the ego. I'm not trying to be in it as long as I'd like or as deeply as I'd like or as often as I'd like or as repetitively as I might like. Just being in it a little bit, which may be a lot more than you've done before, or done recently, or thought you could do. So I'm hoping when you tune into these, you see something that looks not scary, perhaps inviting, and maybe inspires you not to put it off or ignore it or run from it, but actually take part, to stand up off the couch, to give your new hip a chance, to learn to be with your arthritis instead of run from it. Got a little wind picking up, but I actually feel like I'm a little bit closer than usual. I have the iPad about 3 feet lower than it usually is, so that's allowed it to be a little bit closer to me. So I would say I'm about 13, 14 feet from it. I'm usually more like 18 or 20, 22. So I'll do single weighted horse stance, not doing training stance, just shifting, careful not to lean, careful to track the femur, all the usual stuff. I don't know how long these live streams stay up, but I've worked fairly hard to download them, adjust them. I have to flip them because of this mirror image thing, and increase the sound when I think the wind has been too high, and re-upload them and link them and save them on Patreon so that they're there for you. And what I haven't done is made a playlist of them, but I tag everything pretty well on Patreon, so these are all tagged with True Beginner, and they're all tagged with stance, and I think practice. I'm not sure if practice is each one, but stance, and often they're tagged with breathing or Dao Yin if we've discussed those sort of things. But stance and True Beginner would be things to search for, to kind of find. I think we've done 4 sets of 3. Yeah, so that's 24, so like 28 of these. So wow, I guess that's about a month of these. I don't think it's that cold that my math is that far off, so that's probably right. So just single weighted horse stance training. Tried a new thing today, a new free series. I just shot 1 episode, posted it. Just continually trying to find what it is people want. As a teacher, of course, there's some arrogance, so I'm pretty sure I know what people need. But that's different than what they want. And if you're just putting out there what you believe they need, setting aside the idea that I could be wrong, if you're just putting out there what they need, they're not going to come to it. So what's the balance between what they want and what they need? Certainly you could dress it up so it looks like what they want, but it's really what they need. But I find that that's not particularly honest or sincere and genuine. Not so honest as it could be. So to me, it's more of a balance. How do I offer enough of what they want, and then introduce them to what they need, invite them into what they need, begin to share bit by bit what they need, and hopefully we begin to see what they want shift to more of a higher percentage of what they need. So now I'm going to do the shifting with the torso turning. I'm not going to reteach it right now, just watch your knee and femur. I think we did this one 3 days in a row. And this is just a practice session, not a teaching session. And my mood hasn't shifted much from yesterday, but my body's gotten a bit more rest. This will be the, I think the fourth free thing that I've filmed, edited, posted, tagged, shared today. So it's been a plenty long day of offerings. And definitely yesterday and today, much less enthusiasm for it. Feeling disappointed, frustrated, disconnected, alone, unsupported, and so forth. That doesn't mean that's an accurate description of the situation, but it's an accurate description of the feeling, or it's not inaccurate. I don't know if it's accurate in that I didn't fully describe it and talk it through, but just a couple ideas. But anyway, it's our last one. Now I'm going to change. So now I'm turning to the outside of the weighted leg, still tracking the knee and femur. Good, so today's supposed to be forward stance practice, so I'm going to just settle into one of the versions of the forward stance, or whatever name it goes by for you, right? 7-3, 70-30, bow and arrow, bow stance, mountain climbing stance, front stance, dingjima, whatever. Boo. Yeah, I'm just checking in, and to nobody's surprise, no interaction. So my new series I just filmed on Zoom and then posted it. I think it would have been a great interactive format. Have a discussion, questions, comparative readings, and so forth. But I just set up Zoom, invited all myself to the meeting, recorded it. But I did it blessedly without any expectation or hope of interaction. And of course there was none. Nobody else was invited to the meeting. So I filmed it. That's it. And I expect I'll do that for a while. I just step into I go a little wider so I can go lower so I stay in the frame. So far I'm doing these with the weight forward, just kind of static, untimed, settling into the stance. Trying to loosen up what isn't necessary to be in the stance. So that's mind, heart, body, breath. I actually thought it would be a little bit colder. Not too bad though, not too bad. A little cool, like I feel like I want one more layer on here, but it's not bad. And probably my hands being out, it's not going to feel all that cold. But I guess this last month I've paid the price with all this external wind coming in, ramping up the cough. Take another one, just change my angle. I'm gonna I'll vary the stance again, so I'm doing the board version instead of the slackline version. It's dang chilly here. How cold is it there, Jared? You gotta have Pixie sit on your feet to warm them up one by one. Hi, Dee Dee, I see you too. So again, do the forward stance that you know if you like. I'm just doing one, and I have this up slope, so I'm doing the version that I learned called mountain climbing stance, so just kind of fits with thematically with where I am. But that's just me. Hi, Michelle. So as we talked about with these stances, you don't need to be forward, you don't need to face forward, but you need to be able to square your hips to call it a forward stance. And they'll generally default to preferring the weight on the front, but certainly the weight can be in other places. But here, as my first kind of intro static practice for today, I'm weight forward, and I'm going to do that in a few versions, and then probably we'll do some timed and so forth as we go. Low 20s. Yeah, that's enough, man. You're going to be in like single digit wind chill. Definitely indoors. I'll change my version. So I'm going to do my toed in version now, forward toe, toed in, which looks like that, just to vary it here. Very easy for people to take a forward stance and let the tailbone go way out, right? So we have that sort of posterior tilt to the pelvis. But generally, we like to avoid that. That's better. Often people collapse that rear knee. While it structurally shouldn't matter an awful lot, it's not the best idea for your consciousness, and it probably risks injury, not from the static hold of the stance, but from other things you'd be doing when you took this stance. So it's not a great idea. It's certainly less aesthetically desirable, but looking at me, you know I don't really care about that. But certainly if you're able to hold the stance, and the thing that kind of fails you is that collapse of the rear knee, maybe take a more moderate version of the stance, length, width, depth, and so forth, until you can keep that knee from collapsing. That doesn't mean it has to be locked out and straight, but we just don't want to have it collapsed. You know, when we purposely collapse it like we did in the Chi-Lin stance or the cross stance, that's a different story, right? I'll do that. The other foot forward now too. Hey Josh, you're here. I saw your message yesterday about do it longer. And I did in my morning practice for myself this morning, but probably stick to the same thing once we go to timing for this. I'll check my my note here, and then we'll do a little timing. So we'll do a timed one yesterday we did the timed with the training horse stance. So we'd come in and we'd sit in it for, I forgot, 90 seconds or whatever, and then take 30 seconds to come up. This time what we're gonna do is we'll take our front stance, come into the forward position for a count, and then we're gonna return to sharing the weight more evenly between the two legs. And we'll do that for a time, I think. Yeah. So I'll set my stopwatch here. So if I'm fully forward, which might be 70% forward, 80%, whatever you're doing, and then fully back, might not be 100% to the rear. So let's say we could go from 80% forward to 50% forward, right? So that's defining my forward and back. So that means that 30% shift is going to take me that set amount of time. So we're static and then slowly returning to the rearmost place that you'd like to be in your stance, right? So forward, which usually gives us a little bit of down. That's about half. So that's 1 minute. Now we're going to take a few seconds to come back. I think we decided 15. So I'm about halfway through that, coming to what my rearward position is. And then we'll take a little break. If that means change stance, you could certainly rest in that other spot, right? You can change which leg is your forward leg, massage, you can sit out this next one. But anyway, here we go. Quick into it. As it happens, I'm still doing the same side forward. So static in the forward position. Often the forward position is going to allow you to be down so that when you come back, you're up a little bit, which will feel more rested, but you could certainly come back and stay at a similar level, or you can think of it as the same level. We're not measuring it. And that can be harder to do, so that you could certainly work on that. But that also becomes easier to collapse that rear leg when you try and keep to that same level. And I'd rather not collapse the leg. If it means you go up, go up. So that's something you can work on doing, but you don't have to do. I'm guessing that was about 45 seconds, but I'm not sure. Anyway, in about 5 seconds, we'll start going back, which is what I think it was. Yeah, okay, starting to go back. 10 seconds left. And remember, this would be considered being in the same stance, just elsewhere in that stance. And that's our time. So, you know, I'm on this boat, and there's a lot of places I can be on that boat because there's different jobs I can be doing on that boat. Over here is a different boat, and I can be in different places on that boat depending on the jobs that I'm trying to do or the view I'm trying to have. So many jobs on the boat equals many positions on the boat. So I guess I just did Thingji's bull, so let's do that one again. Any variation you want. And we'll start now. And I've squared my hips enough for what I'm doing. And we'll do this for another 45 seconds. Certainly most of my training I'd be practicing at least with a guard, if not a Negong, Yichuan, Qigong hand position when we're static, and if not that, might very well be doing, you know, transujin or movement or drills of strike and block and all that. I think that was our minute, so let's slowly find our way back. I think I talked through the minute mark, but I can't even be sure I'm remembering the time on the clock. All right, that's good. So we'll try it. We'll try it again. This time we'll, there we go. I feel like I was sneaking out of the frame. So I'm squared up to just this side of camera, more due south. The camera's kind of south-southeast. I think this time we'll just sit into it for a little bit longer. I think our second variation yesterday was 1.5 and 30, I think. Interesting thing to explore when you're shifting. Are you pushing from the weighted leg, or are you pulling from the less weighted leg? You know, pulling from the rear or pushing from the front, or both. And if you're not sure what you're doing, just pay attention when you start this time, and then make a note. Oh, that's how I do it. Most people will probably push from their weighted leg, which is great and fine and plenty. But for people that are intermediate or advanced, you might want to consider where else can I push from and why, and perhaps practice that if you're satisfied with the why. I'd say we got about 15 more seconds. I had dreamed of doing a whole bunch of other versions of these, but that's our 130. So 30 seconds of coming back to our rearward position, our more central position, we could call it, the most rearward that we will be. Maybe 10 seconds left. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Good. So we'll do that again. I'll have a sip of water. I thought it'd be fun to do some ground stances, like traditional seated stances. I thought that would be a fun one to do, but without enthusiasm, this whole thing goes unfueled. Okay, I'm just resetting it, and let's try this again. So, forward stance. I guess I didn't teach you that one, so I'll just do that spear stance or dancer stance. And we'll give this a minute and a half. And if I remember, I'll take a look at the live stream on the phone. I can't, see it from on the iPad from here. And then we'll see. Feel like the light's holding up, so I'd like to do a few more of these, maybe even longer, vary it a little bit, but I haven't quite decided either. We're approaching about 2/3 of the way there, which is about now. So you don't have to be square to the front, you just want to be able to square with the front. I happen to set this one up so I'm open to the open side of the stance a bit, what we might call bladed to the fore, somewhat bladed, not fully. got about 5 seconds left, and then we're going to start our 30-second return to center. I've started just now. Intermediate students should have a deep familiarity, I would say, with where they're moving from at all times in every exercise. What's the point of catalyzation? Where does the intention arrive and hitch itself to the train of the body, start moving it? And an advanced student should know that and why. And if the advanced student doesn't know why, they should have some good hypotheses and be making a good effort to endeavor to understand why. Doesn't mean that there is an objective why. I think I went too long on that. I just settled into the center when I got there, but that's okay. So we'll try another. I feel like I know more forward stance variations than anything else. At the moment, I'm not certain which ones I taught, but that's all right. Here we are. Pixie lives on the blanket on the couch today. Yes. Deirdre said do them, but I don't know what the do what is, so I'm wondering if my live stream shut off or not. I don't see an error on it, but the time stamp looks really weird when I look on my phone. So I wonder if it I wonder if it finished or what. Maybe just write hello if you're still on and this is still broadcasting. There's a Snow has this pareidolia pattern here to my eyes. Dee Dee, I'm not sure what you mean, but you said do them. I think you're referring to when I said I'll do more sets. So let's do that. I'll check my notes. Yeah, we did 90-second return to center. So let's try another one of those. I'll just switch. Halfway there. All right, stretch my shoulder out. That's 130, and we'll just find our way back. 30 seconds. Now, it's not at all clear to me how long the live stream has functioned. Just doesn't make sense. It says 41 seconds, but at the top it says 35 minutes, so I don't know. Anyway, that's probably enough of the time. Back to the center. I'm going to do one going downhill. I guess I'll do it that way. That's going to be a little more challenging. Harder to keep that pelvis from tilting. Easier to collapse the knee going downhill. We'll check our time here and begin. Definitely not my favorite stance, but perhaps spent more time in it than anything. Maybe exception being horse stance, but about 25 seconds left. Okay, slowly shifting back. 30 seconds. Maintaining the awareness of the breath, the alignment, relaxation of the shoulders. About 5 seconds to go, and then you're going to be as far back as you had planned. And that's good. All right. So, we'll do our leg circles we've been doing. And I bring, well, maybe I'll grab the stick. It hasn't made an appearance in a few days. So, if you want external support, as we've said all along, go for it. I don't feel like I need it for this, at least today, but want to model it, make sure you're not leaning, whether or not you have that external support. So I'm describing circles each direction, just going a few times, like 3, and changing the point of catalyzing the movement. For me, I'm starting with my hip and finding 3 circles, starting with the hip and then going the other direction. You can do it more than 3 times, of course, and you could start not with the hip, but for example with the knee, which is where I am now. 3 knee circles, 3 knee circles, and then ankle. You can make it more interesting and start these from the remaining joints in the foot, of which there are many, but I'll repeat that. So I'm lifting my leg so that I don't find the ground with it, but I'm trying to lift the leg and allow it to be as relaxed as I can, even though I have to engage it, right? To be bent a little bit. The nice thing to do is do this on the stairs, so I kind of face sideways on the stairs, probably the very bottom stairs, so you're just literally 7.5 inches off the ground. And then practice this where you can really actually hang this leg. But in order to of do a nice circle that's not too far out here, which is a fine exercise for the abductors. We'd want to stand on the very edge of the stair, which often is rounded over and often worn and therefore slippery. So I can't advise it in all cases. It might depend on your stairs. But you might have something that's not exactly a stair, but something similar that's, you know, a stone or something, and you can make do. So that would be another thing to, you know, consider. Okay. Thank you.